Okay, I should be live. Let me check my mic. OBS says I have mic audio, that's a good thing. Never trust that. Let me get my phone in the chat just in case. This isn't the most interesting of streams, but there might be a couple people chatting in there. I'll make sure my audio is muted on my computer too. Hold on a second. Right. And oh, that's the one I want. I was on the wrong thing. There we go. Check my phone is in the chat. And it looks like I'm about good to go. So, what do I need to do today? Today I need to get selection updating properly, because right now everything gets selected correctly. If I select each vert individually, it updates the selection correctly, but if I start circle selecting, it does not. So I'm assuming that'd be the same for box and lasso selecting, so I need to find a way to fix that. So, how am I going to fix that? That is the question. Suppose I need to do a bit of testing first. I should probably also remember to make my stream public so that anybody can view it. Because if I don't make the stream public, not many people are going to find it. So, that should have done that. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Now then, what I need to do, I need to update the selection. So how am I going to do this? The selection needs updating, because otherwise circle selected stuff doesn't seem to appear. So I'm going to need to do some testing for it. So let's go to a texting thing for vert in mesh dot vertices if vert dot select equals true. I think this is the way I'm going to want to be updating the selection. I don't think that I'm going to be able to update it in the bmesh, because I tried firing the update bmesh. Thing, and it didn't pick it up very well. I suppose I could try doing it like that. Where's my init? Let's maybe try doing it like that, so I can see if I can get it working in the. Let's see if I can get it working in the menu, and then do it another way. So I need to update the bmesh before the circle select. Do I still have it in? Do I still have the code for it? There is bmesh update mesh edit mesh. See if that's going to update the selection history for me. Right now it doesn't. I mean, it should do, because when I get the mesh loops, we just straight up get in the edit mesh. But I suppose it's not being updated, is it? Really? So let's try doing that. What do I plug into the update mesh? I'm pretty sure it's the mesh data. So let's try putting that there and see if it updates with circle select. If it does, that's going to make my life 10 times easier. Right now, if I select verts, we are not updating. Ooh, something's going wrong already. Why are we not updating? None type. Oh, because I need to have an active to start with when I run it. So now everything should kick in. So if I swap the active vert, No, it's not. Why is it now not updating? I was quite happy to do it before. There's no attribute selected vertices. It should do. I come in and out of edit mode. No. Right, where's my error? Why this was working the other day? What's your issue now? Context is incorrect. In update direction. It can't be incorrect. We're in edit mode. What's happened then? Because this was working the other day. Issue is in update direction. Maybe if I have to have more than one thing selected. So whenever I'm running it, the timer that's checking the selection is now not working. Great. In check actives, vertex normal props has no attribute selected vertices. Oh, that should be mesh normal props. That should be saying vertex normal props. Am I doing it? Is it being registered correctly down here? Loop, then vertex, then mesh. Pointer property is that. So this was working the other day. Why is it not working now? Great. Fun times. Look at these errors. I'm getting spammed with it. So I can still check the selection thing that I'm working on now anyways. I think if I just run that, yeah, it's not updating. It's definitely not updating the selection even if I do the edit mode. But then this is kind of failing partway through anyways. So what line is my error on? Line 138. 138. B mesh is selected to length. Ah, yes, that's wrong. That doesn't want to be there. That's what's wrong with it. Okay, so now it should. Oh, there we go. Got it updating again. That's all right then. Okay, that was just something I messed up. Okay. So the issue is if I do it by selecting each vert, we get the selection changes. But if I start selecting with circle select, it doesn't update this new selection. And that's with the B mesh from edit mesh being updated. So that's with the B mesh being updated. These variables don't get set yet. So what am I going to do about that then? What am I going to do about that? Yeah, let's go back to testing then, because if updating the B mesh isn't going to fix that for me. I don't believe I need to be. No, I don't have to be in object mode for that or anything. I mean, okay, so there are two ways I know. There's one way I know that I could fix this. I could get the verts that are selected, and if they're set to true, I could add them to the B mesh history before I calculate what we have selected. So sort of set up a manual selection update, which would work, I'm pretty sure. Or instead of adding them to the bmesh's selection history, I could update. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it that way. Let's try doing it that way first. So that's not going to make a difference. So what I'm going to need to do, I mean, the select history, does the select history need to have a specific order? I suppose it doesn't really. So let's, because I can edit this. So bm select history copy equals, let's do it like this first. Vert on yeah, vert for vert in mesh data dot vertices if vert dot select equals true. So that's going to pretty much just do what I wanted to anyways, and then we're going to loop through the history regardless. So every time we check, every time we get the mesh loops, which is what we're doing on the timer, I believe, yep, then we should be able to get what's selected. So let's give that a crack. Let's see if that works. So now if I circle select, no, it's not coming up with it. Even if I tab in and out of edit mode. Okay, I'm going to need to do more testing than for this then. Unless I need to update the bmesh after. Unless I need to update the bmesh after I've done that. Let's try again. No, it's not. It doesn't want to. So it will update and add in the selected verts down here if I select them manually like that. But as soon as I start circle selecting, it has grief. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like doing that. I mean, it's updating still. So if I change the active vertex, it's going to update. But it's not coming up with what's actually selected. So I thought that would work. So let's... Okay, so this vert and this vert are 122 and 58. So if they're, that's their indices. So now let's do a test. Let's try and test this. Vert. Oh no, this. Oh, I see. No, that's going to be giving me the wrong. That gives me the wrong thing. That doesn't give me the BM vert. I don't think. Because I'm not setting it up. Oh, okay. So I'm not setting it up into this correctly. I can't just do it by index to set this up. Can I? I don't think so. I mean, I can get all the data from the bmesh. So, does the bmesh have a vertices value? I think it might do. So let's try bm.verts. Is that gonna give me issues? So I should have, so I have one selected. And if I circle select, no, it's not gonna update like that either. That's kind of strange. That is kind of strange. Even if I toggle edit mode on and off. Let's see, how am I going to get this updating then? So first let's check to see if these are actually have their select thing set to true. So I'm going to have this one active. So 58 and 122. So I'll set this one to active, 58 and 122. And then I'll circle select those two. So then I can go to this text here, print vert.index. Just print the index there. Oh, we're getting spammed with. Oh, happy days. There's something going wrong with my timer then. That's going to be irritating. Let me just have a quick glimpse. I just need a quick glimpse. Oh, you bastard thing. Right. Gonna have to close and reopen to get rid of that. Okay, so now if I run that, we're getting 58 and 122, which are those two there. So if I have just that, run script, we should have just, oh, we're printing more than that? Yeah, we're printing the same thing. Okay, so now I have a completely different vert selected. Like, let's just grab one from over the other side, grab that one, run the script, and it's going to print the same three numbers, so it's not updating at all. If I tab out and come back in again, then run the script, how about now? Now it updates. So we need to toggle in and out of edit mode again in order to update the selection. Sugar. That's a pain because I can't toggle out of edit mode in that function. I don't think I can anyways. I wanted to avoid toggling in and out of edit mode on that function because I couldn't figure out the context override for it. So why is updating the bmesh not doing it? So let's get the bmesh, let's copy the bmesh things into here. So if I take the bmesh select history, I'll just take all of this bit and chop bits off. Copy, well, copy and here. We don't need to have that. We don't need to have that bit at all. We just want to update the bmesh and see what we get. So if I run that, it's not going to. Ah, it doesn't like that. Does not like that. Oh, mesh data, not the right thing. Mesh. Doesn't like that. Okay. What have we got then? Bmesh object has no attribute vertices. Okay, so what we would want, select dot history instead. So it's select underscore, isn't it? Select underscore history. Run the script. Now, what we're getting printed, 14 and 78, which is what these two are, I'm assuming. So if I select one over here, run it again, 62. Oh, so updating the bmesh should be working, but it's not. Or rather, yeah, 60. Okay, so if I do that and then I grab those, run the script, 60 again, I think. Let's just check, let's run it again. Should only be, yeah, okay, so it's not updating the select history properly. So, how am I going to do this without toggling in and out of edit mode? It's not going to update the select history for me, because that's not the way the selection history works. I don't know. This is a total pain. Let's have a think. I'm going to do a quick Google thing. What do I want to Google? Blender 2.8 Python bmesh update selection. Is there, maybe there's a specific thing for that. Mesh rid of it. 4V and mesh verts. Python, efficient way to get selected vertices via Python. Aha, use Python edit mode and get selection. This might have the answer. So yeah, it wants me to, the internet's telling me that I need to switch in and out. No access changes prior to turning back to object mode. Da, 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 da. Choices of all. So how are they doing it? Dum 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 dum. There must be a way of updating the bmesh selection. Let's look in the. Let's have a look. I'm gonna have a look in the bmesh operators in the API. Smooth, rotation, face normals, faces, region, rotate, reverse, bisect, mirror, find, remove, collapse, point, average, point, collapse, weld, create, join, contextual create. What's this? Oh, creates new faces and verts, bridge loops, grid fill, fill holes, face attribute, edge loop, edge net prepare. Nope. Translate, scale, transform, load a bmesh, bmesh to mesh, mesh to bmesh. There's got to be an update selection thing, surely. I can't use the vertices select property. That's not going to work. So I'm going to do a control F and see if there's a select. See if I can find select. Apparently it's in here 15 times. Region extend, no. Extruding. Doesn't look like there's not an operator for it, at least. So it involves me toggling in and out of edit mode to update the selection. That is a total pain. That's a total pain. List if selected vertices from a BP type mesh object. mesh in the code. Hmm. What's this? This might be something. Ah, great. Literally the only way I can get this to update is by toggling edit mode on and off. I have to come out of edit mode to get the selected vert history, and I did not want to have to do that. But I don't really have much choice. So I was hoping that updating the edit mesh would work. Let's go back to the Python API one more time. Let's go back there one more time and see if I can search for update. Oh, doesn't have that at all. Why does it not have update in there? It should do. Let's go bmesh dot update. Search for it that bit instead. What's this? Elements, sequence, index, update. What's this? Aha. Um, so what have we got here? Sort, remove new. So maybe, just maybe, instead of doing updating the bmesh, if we go bm.select history dot this might do the trick, might work. No, okay, it doesn't like that at all. I thought that would count as a vert sequence. Edit select sequence object has no attribute. Okay, edit select sequence is what I should be looking for then. BM loop. Go right to the top of here. type speed mesh. Calculate this, free. From object, don't need that. Normal update. Okay, so we have there's a select flush thing I can call on the B mesh. So let's take that and tinker with it. So there's this to play with. And is there anything else? Edit selection sequence. Verts, not vertices. Okay, so I'll remember that in the edit sequence. Where are we here? Add, clear, discard, remove, validate. So we've got that we can run on it as well. So ensure lookup table is not a thing, but validate is. So let's try this. Still coming up at just 60, and I obviously have other ones worked. So that's the select history validate isn't going to work. Oops. So what was the other one I was on? It was up near the top. Clear all mesh data free. Select flush. So that just gets run on the B mesh itself. So this will be BM select flush. Let's see what that does. BM dot select flush. True. Run that. Still just throwing out 60. It looks like I don't have any way around this. I'm going to have to figure out how to toggle in and out of edit mode. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. So I don't want to have to toggle. There must be, there's verts as well. VM dot verts. Let's try that. Aha! Aha, aha, we found you, we found you. So if I do this, we should have only one selected thing. Is that actually vertex 0? That can't be 0. Let me plug that over there, where I know it's not going to be 0. I didn't think that was the first vert. Or maybe it is. So we currently have 24 printing. And then if I circle select this slot, well, we know that probably wasn't even working. So run script. We have 24 and then the list of all the verts that I just selected. That looks like it's doing the trick. Because that is quite a few. That's a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 18 on top of the 20. Number 24. Let me just check my console. That should be 18. So we've got that one then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Cracking, I found it. Awesome. So that's all I need to update the selection. In BM verts, if vert select equals true. So it's not actually called vertices, which is why it didn't work before. So back in my init function, for vert in BM verts, that should work now. I shouldn't need to update the edit mesh either. That should just be a working thing. So if I run this script, I have nothing selected. So it didn't like it. If I run the script with something selected, it will then start updating every second. Then if I do that, We're selecting all of them. Yeah, wicked. Then if I deselect some of them, awesome. It's working. It's a little bit clunky, but it works. It works. Okay, so that's that bit fixed. That bit that I needed fixing is now fixed. That'll now update correctly. So, really, I could change this and not even use the select history here, but use the verts. So, it's fine using the histories active there. But so instead of using the length of the BM history, well, we're kind of setting the BM history manually. That's probably why it doesn't like it, why it's a bit clunky. There might be a better way to do that. For now this works, but it might be better just to make this my own version of the select history instead of this. Okay, well that's great, that's great. This is all a thing, this is all working. This is all doing what it's supposed to do. What's the video quality like though? Ain't no one in chat, and I don't blame them for not being in chat. This Python stuff isn't really the most interesting thing to watch. My phone's not really going to be able to show me the quality of anything anyways. I can always check it afterwards. It's all just testings. Right. What do I need to do then? What's next? That's got the select history updating correctly. Just because we're going to change the select history manually. So, would it maybe be better to abandon using the select history altogether? Well, we're kind of checking the selection history in order to see if the length of it's changed anyway. I'm gonna leave this like this, and then I'll come back and rework it because it is a bit clunky. I don't really like it. Like, I can feel the jerk of it. Oh, we're lagging a bit now as well, whereas we're not lagging so much. Yeah, I'm gonna need to come back and change that, but it works for now. So. What do I need to do now? What do I need to do next? I did want to what else did I want to do? I wanted to make a choice, because when I was testing, that's how the selection kind of wants to update. Really, it shouldn't be like this. This should be just straight in there. So really, this would be a lot less clunky if I just did this straight away in here with the not equal to active thing. That would be one way of doing it. It would work. But it means I'd have to change the condition that I'm using on the timer. So instead of the length of the BM select history, would that be not equal to generating the same thing again anyway? So this is how it can stay for now. It can just be a bit clunky. I mean, it's not too bad. It's only like Like if I do that, then it's just like just a slight delay. It's not like a big deal. I mean, most of the time you're going to be like zoomed in to do this stuff anyway, so like it's not really that big of a deal. Like if I wanted to start selecting more things, it would just be a case of doing this. And that is kind of annoying. That is kind of annoying. I need to make it more performance friendly. So why is this so clunky like this? And it is only clunky like that when I have other things selected. I mean, it's not saying that the active, it might be keep firing it because it'll think the active vertex has changed when it hasn't. Because the active vert is 0 in this select history thing. Is it 0 or is it's the last one? So it would be a case of manually setting up our bmesh's selection history. So how would we know if it's, so we could do it in reverse. We could do the select, we could iterate over, we could get our active vertex and everything. We could do it by iterating backwards through the BM select history, setting the very first entry to the active vert. That might not then be the actual active vert though. It might not actually be what's active. I'm not sure what happens when I add to it. I could just add to the history instead of just saying it equals this. Because I think that's kind of what it's complaining about. So maybe I would do this. In fact, if I just change where this happens, I could put this like down here, and then put this condition in it too. And vert index not equal to the active vertex. Active vertex is going to have been set already if it needs setting. Yeah. True, and vert index not equal to the active vertex. Let's try doing that. So right now, with no laggage, if I do that, it's no longer updating. Vert for vert in VM verts if vert. Okay, so that kills the update. That's no good. Let's I'm gonna save quickly and just check because sometimes you just need everything needs refreshing. So I run this. We're no longer updating. No longer updating it. Vert.select equals true and vert.index is not equal to, so that's what we're saying is equal to. So BM select history equals vert for vert. Let's do equals itself plus vert for vert. Still doesn't want to update if I do it that way. So we do want we just want the active vert on the end. So we'd go plus active vertex. Well, we wouldn't. We'd get the active and add that on the end. Like that, instead of doing this, maybe. Just so it separates it off there. Let's see if that works. Oops, wrong button. No, it doesn't want to update if I do it like that. Otherwise it was doing it correctly, although we might not have been registering the... So what I need to do is we just split out the active vertex first. So we make sure that that is set. The active vertex gets set first, and we don't want to touch the active vertex in there. So we can't do it like this. This isn't going to work. It's not happening. So let's bring you back up here. So instead of setting the select history like that, we want to loop through the selection history in reverse and then add in. So let's have a let's make this a variable. Let's go true selection equals this pretty much. Should we do it without the act? No, we'll leave that like that. So we'll do it like this. So that's the true selection. This is what is actually selected. And then we could iterate through for vert in the BM select history. Or do we just say BM select history if vert.select equals true and vert not in the BM select history, and it's not in the BM select history, we could then just add it to the select history. BM.select history equals the select history plus the true selection. That could do the trick. Let's try that then. It's killing the update. It's not updating. So let me just make sure I haven't messed something else up instead for this. If I run this script, it is updating. Okay, so I haven't messed something up. We've got true selection is vert for vert. And then BM select history equals, oh no, it'd be the other way around. So it'd be the true selection, oh, it would be, so we need that last entry to stay the same. True selection plus bm.select history. That could work. We're updating, but we're not updating the selection history. Why wouldn't we be though? Why would we not be updating it? Should we try doing it just like that? Is it not happy about us adding them together? So I have just one selected. Let's circle select some stuff. It's not updating it. Okay. So that's not going to work. So really, maybe the true selection wants to be that plus the select history, or we just leave it at that, and we no longer use the select history. We just check the length differently. That's probably just going to be the only way I'm going to be. I think that's the only way I'm going to get this bit working. I mean, we don't necessarily need the order of the selection. We just need the selection for how this is going to work. I mean, having it ordered means it might be slightly easier to work with it on the mesh. But you're going to be able to figure out what your active vertex is anyways, just by making it the active one, because then it'll appear at the top, so you'll know which. If you want to edit a vert individually, that's fine, and then you can just sort of copy and paste things as you need to down here with other operators that I haven't written yet. I think that's the idea. Let's see. Oh no, we're never going to need that. Even if we did have it in the selection order, even if we did have it appearing guaranteed to be in the order of selection, it's still not going to be any easier to define which vert is which vert by its vertex index. So instead of using the select history, we use the true selection variable. So wherever I've got that, let's copy that and loop vertex index. What do I need to do? No, we don't need the loop. Instead of using the BM select history here, do that. Give us the true selection. And then that should just work. We don't have to do. That's just to generate the selected things. So I mean, I could just set the selected verts up here, just straight away from this. No, because I want to chop out the active index from that. So yeah. And then we take this bit here, and on my timer, instead of checking the length of the BM select history, we check the length of that generated list, and that should do the job then. Oh good god, it's tripping right out. What is going on? Guess we have one. Select more and it starts flashing. Why is it flashing? That's not good. It's totally flashing and freaking out. Let's make this its own variable then, as here as well. Selection equals this. Let's try doing it this way instead then. Come here, you git. Length of the selection. So if we set it to be its own reference variable there, it might be a bit more friendly. No, apparently not. It means updating, but why the hell is that flashing? Surely you should just sit there and be happy and not cause trouble. This amount of selected things isn't changing. The length of true selection is greater than 0. Because it could do. Oh, it's the loops. No, because the vertex index is flashing too, otherwise the vertex index wouldn't be. It can't be anything to do with the way we're selecting the active thing. So why does it have a problem with this? This is how we get the correct selection. Let me go check the API. Because if we want to flush the selection, where was I? Calculate loop triangle. No, I want the BM vert selection. Hide set, normal update, select set. Set the selection. This is different from the select attribute because it updates the selection state of the associated geometry. Copy. Maybe I need to loop through and select more. So excuse me. So I mean I could run through and do select set. It updates the selection state of associated geometry. So that might be the way to do it instead of doing it like this. So this would go back to being bm.select history, and both in all the places it would be. Select history, create the selected vertices. We're generating our true selection. Length of the BM history changes. We want to update. We could maybe do that on the timer. I'd rather not do it on the timer. I'd rather do it in the thing. So we can hash that bit off. And then we'll come up here and then we go for vert in BM verts if vert dot select equals true, then we're going to want to set the select to true because it might not have been updated. Select set true vert dot select set true. Let's try running that then. We're like flashing even more. Maybe it's because I need to refresh my script. Or it's not updating it there. Okay then. I really want to be using this true selection value. I'm not sure why it doesn't like it. This should really be, I should be using this instead of the BM select history. Maybe it was because I had multiple timers going or something. So I'm not exactly unregistering the timers. True selection, true selection, true selection. Copy that. Well, we'll use it down here as well. Take the selection. So let's see if it keeps flashing if I refresh my blend file. File, save, quit it again, open it again. Whoops. Open recent. This, then we just have nothing selected there. Then we go run script. If I select extra things, we don't flash. Okay, so this will work. It's just because I had multiple timers running. Right. Silly flashing business confusing me up. So I did read a thing on the API about validating indexes. So I'm not sure what the score with that is either. But this is now working as intended. So if I start deselecting, the length will change. We'll go back to that. So this should get 2 more verts. So I have just 1 active, then I select 2 more. Should have another. That's 56. That's 120. If I deselect that, we'll go back to having just the active one. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Okie dokie. Alright, it's lagging, isn't it? Not as badly as it was, but there's still a bit of lag there as we're checking the verts. Because this is always going to be +1. If there's an active vert, this would definitely going to keep. So there's something going wrong with this check here. It's not liking this checking. This is going through, I think. Or it's because I've got multiple timers running because I keep running the thing. Let's go quit, Blender, mesh normals, save, and then run this. Get a selection. We do have a little bit of a jerk there, but it's not too bad. It's not that bad. Okay. Right. Let's reload again. I want to get that jitter. I don't want that jittering there. Don't want that jitter. How am I going to get rid of that jittering? Jittery juddery business. Let's check when this is firing through. We'll start with 1 active there. So I'm going to go let's go print timer check. So the length of the selection is not equal to the length of the selected vertices. We would want to recalculate it. This is right. That's kind of right. That shouldn't be doing jittery juddery business. That should be saying, oh, we do have the same amount of selected things, so we don't need to update it. Unless it's screwing with the active index doing this. No, it shouldn't be, because we're just taking the true selection. We're not using the select history anymore. We don't care about that. So yeah, let's check this. Okay, so right now, we should have 1 timer check printed in the console window. Okay, we're getting spammed every second with context is incorrect in line 75. We're getting spammed with it. The timer check is just not, it's just not happy with that. Okay. It's constantly firing through here, and it shouldn't be constantly firing through here. It should be saying, actually, we're not going to do this. So let's try hashing off that difference there. If we do that, we're still getting constantly spammed with timer check. It's always making it through here. This is very weird. Why is it always making it through there? It should not be it should not always be making it through there. Like, we should be coming here, checking this stuff, and then it should have no issues. Although, like I say, I'm not unregistering the timer, so I'm kind of thinking that I might be having multiple timers running. Okay, so it's not firing through and giving me any grief now. When the active vertex changes, it's chucking, we're making it through the timer check, but it's not. Okay, so the length of the selection should always be the same as the object's property group selected vert. That should be a thing. I don't see why this has an issue. Why this means it's always coming up true. Ah, that gave me an error, an actual error. So if I do this, selection is updating. But we're constantly making it through. We're making it through this check every time. Which we shouldn't be doing, it shouldn't be. Maybe I need to separate off the two balls a bit. If I like stick them in some brackets, maybe they'll start behaving. Sometimes this helps with stuff. Sometimes it makes no difference. Here it probably shouldn't make any difference, but we'll see. So let's try this once more with feeling. We have an active vert, run script, and are we spamming? We are spamming. We're making it through this timer check every time. Every time, every second, it's going through here and it's making it. So if this is not equal to that, so this check, this timer check, that works. But the length of the selection versus the length of the selected verts, it does not like that. It does not like that at all. Yeah. Why doesn't it like this? What's wrong with checking this? So what is wrong with this? The selection, is this selection not necessarily the same as the selection that I'm calculating before? I mean, it's quite often it's not going to be the same as the BM select history. So what am I supposed to, how am I supposed to get this right then? Oh, because this is doing all selected verts, and the selected vertices are separate from the active verts. So this needs to be length of selection minus 1, because if there's an active vert, I'll come back to this, but this might do the trick. That might be the thing. That might well be it. Or length of selection minus 1 is not equal to that. So we have an active vertex for definite right now. So if I run this script in my console, we're no longer making it through the timer check. The only issue with that is if we don't have a selected vert, if we don't have an active vertex, then the length of the selection should be coming through and it won't. So right now if I do this, it's going to add in all the ones that are selected. But if I select nothing and then select a bunch of stuff, oh, it's adding them in and saying we have an active vert when we don't have an active vert. That's quite interesting. So is it just going to pick up the last active that there was? Yeah, it's just going to pick up whichever one was the last active one. Oh yeah, no, look, it's not updating now. Maybe I had one selected without meaning to. So it's not going to update if there isn't an active vertex for it to check to get rid of, because the length of the selection -1. So if we have an active vert and we select some verts, they're not appearing. I broke it somehow. One active vert, we're getting things. With no active vert, we're not getting anything. And then when we do have an active vert, it's not updating now. Is it not making it through the timer check, or is it just throwing an error somewhere? Yeah, it's not making it through this timer check now. So I didn't need to have the brackets there. That's probably got nothing to do with anything. So, selected vertices, length of selected vertices, we'll go +1. So I'll put this in brackets, not equal to the length of this. Actually, I should be able to figure it out. The length of this +1 if bm.selectHistory.active not equal to none. So I'm pretty sure that I think that comes up as none if there isn't one selected. So else 0. So it'd be +1 to here if the BM select history. This does want to be in brackets. If the BM select history active is not equal to none, else we'll add 0 because we don't have an active. Okay. Let's just sort of save and refresh. Oh, apparently it's not saved. It is now. That's 0. So 1 if the active is not equal to none. We're not updating though. We'll also get, we don't. None type object has no attribute index because we didn't have one selected when I ran it. So we do that. It's updating. And that should pop in some new ones as well. Get rid of them, it gets rid of them. If I have nothing active, nothing happens. It's gonna be throwing that error. None type object has no attribute index because there's no active index. So that is the correct check there. That is not equal to none. So we need to check if this even has, we need to check if there even is an active vertex before we can make this check. I think maybe I should just split it. Maybe I should just split it out completely. So just have two ifs. We do two checks. We go if the history's active index is not equal to that, then we do check. Then we go get everything. and then we check again for something else. So how would I do this? So if we have an active index, we need to check this and that, and if we don't have an active index, we just need to check the length. That should do the trick. That should work. I think. It should. I hope it will. How's my stream health? My stream health isn't too bad. I'm quite pleased, really. Quite pleased with the stream health. Not very many people watching, but I really don't mind. This is not like some serious stream that I want loads of people to watch. It's just me working, and it's good practice. And someone might find it one day and find some use for it. So might take a couple of minutes break. Might take a minute or so break. Check the timer. So I'm going to finish off this timers function. Let's quit and refresh everything one more time. I'm going to finish off this function. Then I'm going to have a little break. It might be nearly time for me to stop, anyways. So I don't need to have that there anymore. I know what's going on. We need to check. What do we need to check? So before we can make that check, we need to go if vm dot select history dot active is not equal to none. Then we can do that. And then I think I'm going to separate this out into a separate thing. Separate check altogether. It just goes if length of selection. Do I do a double check? I mean, I don't necessarily want to do. They kind of need to be separate because they have different conditions. Because they are quite different conditions. I think maybe we want to put this here. So we check that first. So if the length of the selection, our selected verts is going to come up as 0 if we have an active index, right? And if we have an active index, do I even need to do this? If length of the selection is not equal to the length of the selected verts plus 1 to count for the active index, if there is one. If there isn't one, we add 0, so it will run it. So that, yeah, we can make this into an elif. So if we fail this check, if the selection is the same, we'll then check if we have an active and if the active has changed. Maybe, or just not even bother with that at all. Because if we have an active vertex, I misspelled that. So if we have an active vertex, then this number is still going to be accurate. If we don't have an active and we don't have anything selected, this is going to fail. If we do have something selected, it's going to fire true with an active or without an active vertex. I mean, I could make this dependent on having an active, but I don't really want to. I want this to be dependent on more on the selection. So yeah, do I need to? I'm gonna take a short break and figure this bit out. I've got it. I don't need to have any of these checks here about the active vertex at all. Because if the length of the selected vertex, so if I have an active vertex in the B mesh, then this selected vertex thing is going to be 1, and we're going to add 1 to the empty. The selection is going to be 1 if I have an active vertex, and the length of this is going to be 0, or wants to be 0, plus the 1. So that should not need any checking, something like that. So let's save and refresh, and if that works, then hopefully I have just enough time. Hopefully then I have just enough time to... What am I doing? Reloading. Spaced out completely there. I have just enough time to add in an option that I need to add in, because I was testing with this last night and I found a problem. Found a thing that sometimes it's going to be useful to do, sometimes it's not. So, if select history.active is not equal to none, else 0. Get mesh loops. That's way too far over there. So that should now be fine. That should now work with or without an active vertex. So if we don't have one, it's going to come up 0. That's going to come up 0. I should probably get rid of that before I run this. So we start from fresh. Active vertex is 0 because we have 0. I select it, and we're not updating. Okay, so it's chucking an error at me somewhere. Where's my window? Toggle system console. Okay, it shouldn't have a problem with this. Maybe I need to toggle in and out of edit mode. Why has it got grief? Why does it have grief? As soon as I add selection, active vertex 12. Okay, so now it's not, okay, so it's not updating if we only have an active vertex. Why? Because the length of the selection is 1. That's none. So we're getting 0. No, we're getting +1. So that should be firing off as 1. The selection should be coming up as 1. Or if it's because it's active, it doesn't want to. It doesn't come into here. That's not right, is it? Let's try running this. Yeah, we're getting 12, so that should be updating. If I run this, we get 14. So this should be updating, really. Why is it not? I want to get this bit figured out so I can add in a property. The length of the selection is not equal to the length of the selected verts. +1 if the selective history is active. So we're adding 1 to it. Is it just not having this as a calculation? Set up right. That's definitely coming in as a selected vert. Oops. No, it's not firing through here. This isn't firing, otherwise it'd be updating the active thing for me. So maybe I do need to have the extra checks in there? Where's my drink? this shouldn't need to be there. Length of the selection is not equal to the length of the selected verts plus 1 if the select histories dot active is none, is not none. So right now it's not none. BM select history is not none. So it should be 1 and 1. Let's print this condition. Let's print the length of the selection. And let's print the length of the selection plus 1 with this condition here as well. So let's print this every time on the timer. See what we're getting out of it. So if they're not equal, oh well, they would be equal, wouldn't they? That's the trouble. They would be equal. Oh, okay, I get it. They would be equal, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's because they are equal when I'm checking if they're not equal. So, how do I fix that then? Further lengthening that fiddly little condition or what? Got a jiggly leg, this is starting to annoy me. I've got the twitchy leg going on. Right. The length of the section is not equal to this plus 1 if this is that. Okay, so it is equal if we only have the active thing selected. So we could just check the active thing and do that first. So yeah, maybe it's just going to be, it's going to be a bit more straightforward to look at if I separate it out, but I could make this into a sort of a ternary condition within a ternary condition. But that's just going to be a pain to look at. So if bm.selectHistory.active is, whoops, wrong button, is not equal to none, then we're going to want to do that other check that I did have before, which was this active dot index is not equal to the object data's active vertex dot vertex index. So we do that, and then this would get tabbed along, and this would be elif. The elif, the alternative if for if this is not true. So if this changes, we're going to want to update the lot. And then the alternative is if the selection changes, we're going to want to update the lot. It is called vertex index, isn't it? Vertex, active vertex, and the vertex is index there, plus its direction. We don't really need to have that direction. This direction is kind of inconsequential. We can't really edit it without changing the geometry anyway. Let's save. That should now work. We'll just block the timer if we don't have anything selected. So if the active is not equal to none, we do that. What if the active is equal to none, but we have selected things? So we'd have the same elif again. Length of selection is not equal to the selected vertices, but not with the +1. So we'd have the same thing again without the +1 on it. Copy, paste. So if the active is none, then we check the active index. So if the active vertex is not equal to none, we check if the index has changed from what it was last, which is in the vertex properties. And if it has changed, then we get mesh loops. If the active vertex index hasn't changed, but the selection plus the active thing if it's active, or 0 if it's 0. Well, we don't really need to do that. We can just have this elif out there, can't we? We can just have that elif out here. We can just pull this back. This doesn't need to be tabbed. This is just if that is equal to none. We could have it just as another check, just in another if, so we check twice. No, we wouldn't want it checked twice though, really, would we? We only want to check this if the active vertex hasn't changed. So we're gonna, so if there isn't an this, how it is right now should work, so I'm gonna leave it alone. It could maybe be slightly more efficient, but I can't be asked to mess around with it anymore. Just check the syntax is correct. Yes. So now without a selected vertex, we run the script, get that. The active vertex is updating, and if I select things, it's also updating the selection. Yes, okay, there we go. That's as done as it needs to be for now. Still need to work on the cosmetics for all of this, but I can see that it's working and it's going to work, and I can set up the panel however I want. So I want to add in a, what time is it? Yeah, I'm going to stop in about 15 minutes. So what I want to do, I want to have a delete face or not delete face variable, and I want to create an operator for this function here. So I'm gonna want to call out some of its data, because we want this bit here, this delete face thing. That might not be needed. I might not need that at all. So I mean, I don't actually need to switch to select more. Yeah, we'd want that. So yeah, we can do select more. Where's the bit? Here we go. The select mode. I don't need to do that anymore. That's no longer necessary. This wants to be optional, whether we delete the faces or not. This wants to be if whatever, then we'll chop out the faces. Will we even need to toggle edit mode? Well, here we can toggle edit mode instead of doing that weird thing where I do the select history. So, well, I could get rid of this edit mode toggle, because the reason I'm toggling here in edit mode is to get the selection, and I now know that if I go BM I go BM dot verts if vert dot select, I missed the dot select equals true. I can now do that instead of that bit. I can do that here too. So what happens when I set that to none? Checking our selection. I'm going to need to do even more on the timer. So to make this all disappear if we have nothing selected. I mean, we could just hold on. We could just hold the last actives data when we don't have anything selected. I suppose that could be handy. Yeah, that should be fine. Don't need to do any more edit mode targeting. When we come out of edit mode, set up the normals, how we want them to be, they get updated, then we toggle back. Then we select the linked things. And we delete all the verts that we had created. Yeah. Okay. So that should work, and I shouldn't need those bits anymore. I just need to have a condition that comes through here. So really, I can just kind of plug that in as if use faces, if use faces. Yeah, I'll just do that as a not boolean down here. If, let's just do it remove faces. If remove faces instead of, so we'll do copy and paste. So we'll remove the faces. We're only going to remove the faces if this bool here we're putting in is true. So I'll put that as true there for the testing. And I don't think I have these texts saved anywhere, do I? Oh, this one I do. So we'll save that. And save as that. And then in here, top, I'm going to go from dot import whatever it's called, mnt underscore functions. And from there, I can run it. So I can create an operator for this. What time are we at? We're getting close. I might not have time to finish off this operator. I'll try and finish off this operator and then I've got to go. Not that there's really anybody watching this. Oh, there is chat. I should have been checking chat. It's been so dead. Hello, Ben Stanley. The chat's been so dead the entire time I've been streaming. You must have turned up maybe while I was smoking. What am I making today? Today I am making I'm sort of working on an add-on to edit custom split normals and be able to tweak them in a menu here. So I can select the active vertex and I can tweak which loop is pointing in which direction. So I have direct control over each of these pink lines, pretty much. It's good for like secret doors that you need. So you need all the normals to be the same, but the geometry surrounding them, like the seam of the geometry that has faces that need to still be there, and you can't get rid of them. And yeah, it just gives an extra level of control over the custom normals if you need it. That's what this is about. Let me get my phone back in the chat. It sort of went to sleep. So yeah, no, I'm just sort of setting this up. I want to So I've got all this menu set up, and it updates depending on the thing, depending on what vertex you have selected. We get access to all of the normals, custom or otherwise, and then we can kind of change them however we want. I still need to work on like the cosmetic side of this panel. It doesn't look very good at the moment, but that's kind of like the last thing to do, is just make it look nice. Right now I'm getting all the data I need, and I can edit all the data I need however I need to. So yeah, this is currently a working thing. I just needed to update the selection because when I first started this stream, when I was selecting with circle select, it wasn't updating down here. It just wasn't pulling everything in. It was only updating if I selected each vert individually like this. And if you were running along a seam of some complicated geometry, that would be a total pain to just click and select each individual vert. As I found out last night when I was testing this on Miss Mannequin, who I made for Mr. Mannequin's tools, because she's got a bunch of seams that need fixing, and I can't just clear the custom normals and regenerate everything. So what this function in here does, though, is pretty clever. This does the whole seam at once. So I updated the selection for in here, and now I've figured out how to do that. I've updated the selection in the function, and I'm going to I need to test if it works. I'm also adding in an option for whether we remove the faces, because on some geometry you only get the right sort of average custom normals if you remove all the faces, and on other geometry you need to keep the faces to get the right to keep the right geometry. It's a little bit fiddly to explain. So what do I need to do here? Let's clear sharp, and then I will kill the custom normal data, add the split normal data, edge, clear sharp. So this is if we don't want to have sharp edges. So that's the whole thing. If we were using sharp edges, this would be a lot easier, but there are a lot of situations where you can't use sharp edges for this. So that's what I'm doing here. So all of these custom normals have now, there's a nasty great seam around this cylinder, and I don't want that. I do not want that at all. So yeah, I'm going to test this function now and make sure it works with the way I have of updating the selection, which is still a bit laggy. As you can see there, when I'm trying to go to select, you can see the thing disappears while I'm selecting. It lags behind a bit, but that's because we're asking it to do quite a lot. So let's run this, and hopefully this should make all of those pink lines point straight out to the middle with the faces on. There we go. Oh, I got an error, but it seems to have done it. It's done the job, but it's given me an error. So let's find out what that error is. Here's my console. Vertex normal prox dot vertex index expected an int type, not a none type. Okay, that's to do with the updates, I think. That's in line 46 in get mesh loops. By the way, Jim, I love your Mr. Mannequin tools. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's really taking off. Loads of people really like it. I really like it as well. I'm having great fun working with it too. I've got some like really cool stuff coming for it, like loads of new rigging, and obviously there's the female mannequin coming soon. I'm going to do another stream later. I'm sort of just doing this stream to practice. I'm not really used to streaming, so I thought like, well, I need to edit this tool, and I need to make this work so it's easier to edit, easier to fix Miss Mannequin. But yeah, I'm going to be streaming Mr. Mannequin Tools update stuff later, because I was going to go through and test everything and do a bunch of examples, taking custom rigs from Unreal Engine, putting them in Blender, using my tools to retarget them and stuff. So yeah, that'll be at 8 o'clock-ish tonight. So in about 6 hours I should be streaming again, and it will be a bit more interesting than this boring wall of Python. So where was I? What was I doing? That error. We're getting a none type, but that's not from this script. So this script's doing what it's supposed to. This is working. I can get rid of this because this is doing what it's told. I don't need to update the B-mesh. And I don't actually need to be printing any of this stuff either. It's all working as it's intended. Am I voting? Am I voting? Probably not. I'm not really up to date with all of that. I kind of stay away from it, keep my head in the sand. Who should I be voting for? Anybody but the Conservatives, I guess. Right, let's save this. And my init file is giving me issues. It doesn't like giving this a none type. It shouldn't be adding in a num type. I need to put a check here. Active vertex. That's what it's giving me an error about, I think. Let me check my console. Line 46. There isn't anything on line 46. So that's probably because I got rid of some stuff below it. No, that shouldn't be. Look into Labour. If I voted Labour, my dad would hate me. I don't really talk to him, so I don't really care. But no, I'm not really too sure. Sorry for the apology. Yeah, you don't have to apologise. I just literally know next to nothing about who's doing what. All I know is that if the current government continues the way they are going, it could screw my daughter over in the long run. So I don't really want them to stay in power. That's all I know. What do I need to check here? Okay, it's saying 46 is the issue, so I'm guessing I need to put an if check here. I need to go if active vertex is not equal to none, I need to set this because it won't take a none type. So we can only set this if that's a thing. So really, I don't really need to have this here. I could use this the whole time. It's just slightly more. It's just like it's just like a few extra words and dots having to do that in like these ternary conditions. Yeah, I'll leave that bit. I'll leave that bit to it. That should fix that error that I got anyways. We won't try and assign the vertex index to a none type object anymore. Just fine. That should be fine. In fact, if I clear it, that's why it's staying. That's why when I have nothing selected, the active vertex is staying. Why can I not select anything in here? What's going on? Do it like that. I can't grab an active vert. That's a bit strange. And something's going a bit funny. I might have to reload again. So save that. No, I'm going to get rid of that because none of that worked. Boris. Oh, Boris Johnson. So everyone, I've done so much work testing with armatures. You said Boris, and I thought Boris from the Paragon character because I've been doing retargeting tests with him. I was like, Boris, what's Boris doing at a climate change thing? Boris Johnson. He's a bit of a TV politician, isn't he, really? It's all like publicity stunts. I'm not sure he's actually as thick as he makes out. I think it's just a gimmick because it gets a lot of publicity being that way. Pull the broadcasting license for Channel 4. Well, I I don't even have a television. I have no idea. I haven't watched TV in years, so I know nothing about that. It means I don't have to pay a TV licensing fee. I don't have to pay the TV license if I don't have a TV. I just watch everything on Netflix and YouTube. I'd rather watch Mr. Beast than The Simpsons, you know. So what am I doing? I need to add in a property. I need to add in a property, don't I? So I've got this. I've got the from dot import. I want to add in a property here. So that's all the data stuff for all the normals. That's all the normal collections and the pointer for the active vertex. What I need is just sort of standard options for running operators. So let's have what should I have? What should I call this? I could just call it remove faces. It kind of needs to be a bit more specific than that, but I could call it that for now. Just remove faces. Actually, let's what is the title of my function? Equalize normal seam. So let's call it seam. Let's call it seam remove faces. Sometimes it's useful to remove them, sometimes it's not. And that's just going to want to be a bool property. Do I have any bool properties in here yet? I don't think I do. So I'm going to have to set that up. I can't bother to type it all out. I'm going to go somewhere and copy and paste it, I think. I don't think I have one in any of my property groups. Do I have any in here? I don't think I do. Does this have a bool property for me to copy and paste? This template thing? No. So yeah, and if you're wanting to learn Python for Blender, you should totally check out the Python templates in here. Blender's got a lovely long list of Python templates that are a great place to start figuring out how things work, because you can just sort of load one up. You just have to hit run script up here, and it will appear wherever it's supposed to appear. So that's pretty cool. There's definitely kudos to Blender for putting that in there. Most programs wouldn't really think of putting in a bunch of code templates for all that for creating your own stuff. So I think that's really cool that this is here. But I need a Boolean value. I need to create one. I don't think there's any examples of them in the templates. Driver functions, operator. There might be one in one of the operators. No, I'm just going to go to Mr. Mannequin's tools and copy and paste something quickly. It'll take me all of 2 seconds. It's quicker to load this up than it is for me to type out what I'm about to copy. I just need any old bool property here. There we go. I can grab that, copy, and go back. That's all I need to do. It's a bit quicker. And I want to pop that in here. Get rid of this bit. That's the name it's going to have. Oop. Quick question, will Mr. Mannequin Tools support retargeting Mixamo rigs to UE4 rigs? Kind of. That's a little bit tricky to explain. If you're around for my stream later this evening where I go through the retargeting system and test it all, I'll be doing something similar with some other armatures. So I think Mixamo mostly uses T pose, doesn't it? And that's the problem, or the A pose just isn't quite right. But I've got a yesterday. Yesterday I made a function for the retargeting that will force the mannequin's A pose, like all the rotations, but not change the locations of the bones. So any proportion of character can then be moved into the mannequin's rest pose for animation, which should then make it much easier to retarget that armature to the mannequin in Unreal Engine. I did want to try and avoid retargeting in Unreal Engine and do everything in Blender, but it's kind of not possible. It's not possible for characters which have different proportions because you can't. As soon as you change the location of any of the bones, there it's not compatible with the mannequin anymore, and it doesn't have a root bone. Oh, my retargeter thing automatically adds an Unreal friendly root bone if there isn't already a bone named root in the armature when it starts retargeting. So yeah, we can't change the rotations, can't change the locations of bones without killing mannequin compatibility. But I can change if we change the rotations only, then we can get it into the same pose as the mannequin, and it just makes the retargeting process much easier. Where was I at? Oh yeah, just typing out this ball. What am I going to call it? Remove faces. Yeah, I'm just going to call it remove faces. Yeah, we really can't change much about the mannequin at all. Like, as soon as you change anything about the way his deformed bones are set up, then he's not compatible, and you get errors when you try and directly import onto him. But I had a few requests in the Discord chat and in a few other places as well for a situation where you could get the mannequin's rotations onto both a mesh and an armature without actually changing any of the scale. And that's the function I wrote. That's what it does, and it does it quite well. I think I need to add in an option for how the deformed bones would get processed with that, but that won't be too hard to do either. So seam remove faces. Remove faces. What's the description? This is quite a specific description. It could be a bit long. It's going to be on use or remove faces to calculate equalized normals on the seam that's being fixed. I'll call it that for now. I can always make it nicer afterwards. And it by default, I'm not sure which way this default would be. I'm gonna actually say that by default it should be false, I think. Because most of the time that I'm going to use it, this ball property is going to be false because I'm going to be using it on character meshes. But if you were using this on a secret door or something, like I'm a bit like what I'm doing here with this cylinder, you'd want to have it true. So this wants to be true when there is other faces involved. It's a bit complicated to explain that. I think it's going to be a little bit complicated to explain, especially because I can't get an active vert right now. Oh, I see why. It's because we currently have the duplicates. Oh, they're not getting removed. Or have I just done something wrong? This should all have been deleted. The whole lot of that should have been deleted. Why did it not? I'm gonna have to check that. I'm gonna have to check that in a moment. Let's what time is it as well? Oh, I've got to go pretty soon. I've got like 5 minutes and I have to stop streaming because I have to get my daughter from school. So Yeah, seam remove faces just wants to be on the mesh. Normal props. I don't really have time to write out the operator for this, do I? No. Let's go and check out this. Let's text save functions, text save file save. So I've got everything. Yes. Let's see now. Why is it not? So it should be selecting all the linked things and deleting them. And it didn't. Oh, it's because I pressed Control Z and I didn't press it enough time. So if I select all of these and then I run this, we get that same error again because I haven't rerun the other script. But oh, it's not deleting them, is it? So no, they're not getting deleted. That's a bit of a pain. It could be that error that's stopping it. Let's save this. Let's save this and I'll try this again. Mesh normals. Yep. And let's try this again. I don't have anything extra, do I? So the reason things have to be the reason things need to be the reason this whole remove faces thing is a thing is because if there's a face inside the seam for the normals that need correcting, then we need to use the faces. Then we can't use the faces to generate the normals because the geometry is going to do it for itself if we don't. It's a bit confusing. Would it be possible to make chunks out of a character? That's exactly why I'm making it. I used an add-on ages ago that's been discontinued to edit custom normals, and basically the goal of this is to make these two normals the same so that they become seamless. It becomes a seamless mesh. So that's exactly what it is. This is mainly designed for dismemberment. I'm not even sure. I'm calling it mesh normal tools at the moment, but I'm thinking about adding some other stuff in and making it just a whole mesh tools add-on for doing dismemberment and things like that. I mean, if you get the workflow correct, it's actually quite possible to create the mesh in a way that the normals don't need to be corrected. But if you do that and then you start sculpting and changing things or doing things with shape keys, the normals are going to need correcting. So it's a little bit complicated. So where was I? Right, I haven't run the init scripts. Let's see why this isn't deleting before I have to go. Run script. Oh, okay, the error. Where is the error coming from then? What's our error? Index 128 out of range, size 128. Why is there a thing out of range? Why have we got something out of range? We don't need to have an active anything. It's coming. All of those. None of them are. None of the normals are getting calculated. Okay, we're getting an issue here. This line here is having a problem. We're not calculating the normals, are we? I bet that's the line. Line 25 in equalize normal seam. Okay, no, we're getting it before then. For vert and selected verts. We're checking the coordinates. Oh, why is that? We're getting the duplicate selection. Why is that where it's giving the issue? Line 25. So we're getting all of that. Back in the 1960s and 70s, during the Cold War, there was an idea of embedding nuclear codes into a Navy serviceman's body. It's not a bad idea, I guess. What, like, just sort of like, under the skin or something. That sounds pretty crazy. You wouldn't be able to encrypt that though. You wouldn't be able to encrypt it. Someone could just chop it out of the person and use it if they wanted to. I get it. I get it. It's kind of like a. Oh yeah, I suppose they could then put those code. They could put the nuclear codes into a code itself as well, so they could then like. It'd be even so if someone did kill them, it'd be even more difficult to get them out to actually get the launch codes. That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So why is the index wrong though? Why I'm really running out of time. I've got 5 minutes to figure out why this index is going funny. Is it because they're to do with? Is it to do with the active vertex not existing? For vert in the selected verts is that. So for each of those, we're then checking the meshes vertices, coordinates. I could do this on the B mesh now though, and it might work. Yeah, because it's not been updated, so we can go BM, BM. Let's see if we still get the same error, because what's happening is we're getting the duplication here. We're getting the duplication, but we're not getting the rest. Didn't work. B-mesh object has no attribute. Oh, it's because it's verts, not vertices. Delete. Still having issues with this. Outdated internal index table. Okay. Ensure lookup table first. This is what I want. So where do I put that? So before I start looping, have we toggled edit mode? Print if remove faces. Oh, that's why I'm toggling edit mode. Because that updates the indexes, when really I should be doing it like this. So what is this? Just bm dot ensure lookup table, I think. Apparently not then. Bmesh object has no, so it must just be bmesh, and I have to put in the bmesh or the mesh data. I don't know which. I'll find out. Quick test will find out for me. Not that. We don't have, yeah, it's not even got that far. So run script. No. Okay. Well, how do I ensure the lookup table? Is that on the selected verts? I'm guessing. I'm just gonna not even. I'm just gonna hash this off and do the toggle edit mode trick again. While it works, you know. Just go toggle edit mode, toggle edit mode. I bet this works for me now. I've got the duplicates this time though. Right, delete that. So I'm going to have to come back to this. I want to get this bit back to working. No, it doesn't like that either. Good grief. Beam mesh data of type beam mesh. Oh yes, of course, of course. So this wants to go back to being mesh dot vertices mesh dot vertices. Now it should work. I'm a hoping. Come here, you get rid of this extra bit. So I'm going to save this, try this. If it doesn't work, I've got to go. So save that, and hopefully this works. There we go. There we go. Okay, the toggle edit mode trick works. I need to figure out updating the B mesh a bit better. So updating the indexes. I think it might actually have to be per vert that it gets per vertex, per B mesh vert. But yeah, then that makes for a seamless mesh. If I do that, turn off that. There we go. Seamless mesh when I run this script. So that is it for this stream, I believe. That's it for this. You should go get your daughter. Well, I tend to leave a bit early. I don't have to leave for another 10 minutes, but I want to like chill for 5 minutes, you know, clear my head, and then I'll go get her. She finishes at like, it takes me like half an hour to drive there, and she gets out of school at like 3:15. So I sort of leave at like 2:30 and then spend like 15 minutes sitting in my car just thinking about Mr. Mannequin and what I'm supposed to be doing with him. So yeah, I'll be streaming a bunch of mannequin stuff later. I'm going to go through the whole add-on and test it all and do examples for people that want examples and things like that. And that's going to be at like probably about 8 o'clock tonight. So in about 5.5 hours, 5.5 hours or so, I might start doing that. So thank you for the company, Ben Stanley. It was a very dead chat today, but then in all fairness, I don't know how many people are actually looking for this. It's kind of just a practice, so I don't really mind too much. So that is this stream done. Let me save everything because I don't want to lose it because it's currently functional. Save, text, save. I did change the condition there, didn't I? Let me get mesh. If history active is not equal to none, yes. Okay. That's all saved. And I'm going to go and get my little girl from school, and I'll be back later. Where's my stream thing? Where's my end stream button? Where's it gone? There we go. Right. I'm now ending this stream. Have a great day.